All right. What's up, YouTube? How is everyone doing? It is Sunday, 9:04 on 3/31 March the 31st. It is the end of March. Can y'all believe it? I'm just getting everything set up again here on my end to make sure we are good to go, but it's looking like we are live. My goodness. Whoa! Man, I'm excited to be here after a long Saturday, an even longer Friday, and boy, it feels good to be at the live show. I hope everybody's doing okay. Hope everybody had a great weekend. For those of you that have never been here before, welcome. Welcome to the Grass Factor live stream, the live show, as they call it. I'm going to try my best to be a little bit put together today and somewhat normal. For some reason, I'm not a nap guy, but I did take a nap this afternoon, and I'm struggling to recover from it, but I will get there. I will get there. The excitement of the live show, the questions coming in, the hype. Man, I am ready. All right, everybody. For those of you that are just tuning in, I'll give you a little bit of information on how this goes. This is an open format, meaning you ask questions, I provide answers. My background is turfgrass management, so if we were going to stay in the topic of turfgrass, typically I can hold my own okay. If we delve into some landscape stuff, landscape plants, woody plants, perennial plants, herbaceous plants, I might have a little bit of information on it. But this being the weekly lawn and garden show, I love to take that time to begin and move on to the segment of the show we like to call the roll call. So I'm going to give a quick rundown here. Josh Miller was actually first. You hear that, Connor Ward? Do you hear that? We have a true, legit first, and it is Josh Miller. Jay Miller bringing down the hills. Oh, hi, the lawn stripes. Mr. Daniel up there doing big things in hiya. Lush Lawns, how are y'all, Lushy? Lushy, we were on the phone till about, the wee hours of the morning this morning. It was good talking to you, sir. Pop Music is in here. How are you, buddy? A little throwback to some 80s goodness. Troy Scher, how are you? Eric Vaughn Woodell, what's going on, buddy? Ryan Noor, hey, buddy. Hadn't had a chance to watch your video yet. I look forward to watching it because I really enjoyed our time together in Hotlanta, as they say. Brian Hopkins, Colonel Corn, what are you doing, good sir? Keith Curry, can y'all hear me okay? I don't know if I've got music going in the background or not, but I think we'll get in there. You know what I'm saying. Let's see, Keith Curry, how are you? Troy Scher, hang on, I'll come back to those questions. T-Weave, Velvet Hammer, dropping the hammer. John Teague is here, even with the Kentucky loss, but, hey, we're not even going to talk about it. Connor Ward is here. How are you, good sir? John Pinkerton, Chris Ward. Oh, let's see. Man, a bunch of Discorders are in here. Toby Howard. Tall Fescue Junkie. Mike Wassenauer. T-Weave. Man, look at this. I said lots of names in here. I recognize Bert Collins, Glenn Stevens, Texas Welder, Barry Kavanaugh, Texas MH, The Lawn Guardian, AZ Trucker, Matt Kosinski, Russell Paget, Gravy Lookout, the Gravy Train, baby. It's all on the Gravy Train. Gene, Ducati, DeClo, future former lawn noob. My goodness gracious. Apap Knarf is here. Woo! Sun 99, what's up, dude? RVA Lawn Love, Johnny Fescue, Schaefer Lawn and Property Maintenance, Mark Macchione, Nathan McGrady. Wow, there's some good stuff in here. Okay, so real quick, I'm going to get in here and I'm going to start answering some of these questions because it looks like the live chat is on some next level flying through right now. So one of the first ones I saw was, what are your thoughts on Bermuda? So, really, I think Bermuda is going to find its area of use in sports turf. I don't think the aesthetics are going to be there for a home lawn. Again, when it was designed and the process was kind of developed, it was purely with the mindset of sports turf in mind, and having that transitional piece there as you start moving into the stressful period, having a resilient turf grass that can handle the damage and the wear and the tear, and then when you're cooler, you have a resilient turf grass that can handle the damage and wear and tear and repair. So it's kind of combining the best of those from a playability standpoint. However, from an aesthetic standpoint, it is not really the prettiest thing out there. So just gonna say, if you're looking for aesthetics, I'd say that's probably not your one. If you're looking for durability, I'd say yeah, you're good to go with it. Preferably something heat and fire with it. Funny, we'll get a little bit of that story a little later because I saw someone. Look at this. Does burning Bermuda kill off overseeded perennial ryegrass? If you have dormant Bermuda that is overseeded with perennial ryegrass, I would say it will be incredibly difficult to burn off. If you can burn it off, burn off the dormant Bermuda, it probably would destroy the perennial ryegrass. But I don't think you'll be able to get it to burn that way. I see lots of fire jokes in the chat. What's the best time of year for a soil test? What specifically should I be looking for? I did a complete renovation in the fall from trash to fescue. I see y'all with the super chats. I see it out over here out of this monitor, out of the corner of my eye. I will talk about it, but we're not going to right yet. Okay, so what you're going to be looking for is holes in the barrel. So think of, John Perry talks about Liebig's barrel. And I think it's a great analogy for what's going on. All right, y'all. Don't worry about the shed. We don't need to talk about the shed right now. And if you think of all the nutrients as individual slats in a barrel, right? You want that barrel to be able to hold water without it leaking. So if you have adequate levels, think of it as that's a barrel that has slats all the way up to the side. If you have a deficiency, it's you have a slat that may be low in something. Therefore, it cannot hold as much water in that barrel. Therefore, it would equal diminishing return on either aesthetic or duration or performance or wear tolerance, stress tolerance of your turf grass. So you want to make sure that you have hit appropriate soil levels to have a good solid foundation for your turf grass. But really it should tell you, your soil test is going to be tell you where your deficiencies lie, so that way you can add those to your program, because chances are your turf grass is going to be deficient in it if your soil is deficient in it, and you can apply that foliarly. So it's a guide to adjust your fertility program. Do not follow the recommendations unless it's about lime. If it's about lime, yeah, you can follow that, because it'll, if you're acidic, it's going to tell you to apply, 100 pounds per thousand or 50 pounds per thousand. Do that. But in terms of the fertility recommendations, I probably would not recommend that, because oftentimes it is a little bit unnecessary and or excessive. Let's see. I second on burning Bermuda. What are your thoughts? All right. Here's the story to all the Discord guys. I burned off my Bermuda grass for funsies. This should help cover the bill from the fire department for the shit. Okay, so I'll be having a series of videos of what I'm doing with my Bermuda grass in the backyard here, and one of the things I decided to do was burn off my Bermuda grass. So Friday, I worked from the house, and I decided to burn all that off, and I did, and I burned it off, and it looks great, and I'll have a video about it and some pictures and video of it on fire and stuff, and I stayed there for the entire duration of the burn. And it was out by about 10:30 in the morning. I came back inside, and at 2:30 in the afternoon, I smelled smoke. I looked out the window, and I have a little tiny utility shed that is not in use, and the thing was fully engulfed. And I attempted to put it out with my water hose, and it was not going well. And apparently one of my Someone driving by called the fire department. The fire department came and put the flaming shed out. And that's a very gentle way to describe the intensity of the fire that was taking place there. It was really intense. So, if you do decide to burn your Bermuda, I'm going to recommend that you don't do it because there's real risk for fire potential. But in the event you do, make sure you did not leave any smoldering embers underneath a storage shed. Make sure the fire did not go underneath the shed and find a way to remain active without your knowledge. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. And then we'll quit the fire talk. I don't need to rebuild my shed. I never used it. I had nothing in it. We do not need to worry about it. We are all good with the shed. That shed was a waste of space, and I'm not going to lie. The fire department was not happy with me, and they did a really good job of tearing that shed down. Yeah, all right. Anybody using Next products? Keith Curry, I'd say there's a lot of people in here that are using Next products or similar. Wow. Gravy Lookout still have tons of snow. Send warm things. Everybody send Gravy Lookout some warm. Hey, I appreciate that, Ryan. I'm glad the voice sounds good. I'm always tweaking with the audio aspect. The Sahara is warm. When I was in high school, I never thought I would want to kill my weeds. Funny how this has changed. David Walker, how are you, good sir? I see you sneaking in there. 5 inches of snow this morning. Ugh, no thank you. Matt, is it possible to have a 100% weed-free lawn? Yes, it is, Eric Von Waddell. However, is that a good thing? No. If you have a weed or two, just live with it. Don't pull it if you want to. But no, there's no program or anything you could possibly do to have a perfectly weed-free lawn. You might for like a day or 2 days, a week tops, but that's about it. No, you will not have a perfectly weed-free lawn. It is against nature, and nature always finds a way, in case you didn't know. Man, look at these. Hey, Jimmy John, it was great to meet you. I appreciate that. I am a bit of a character in real life and online. That is for sure. If we're going to have an SEC team in the Final Four, happy that it's... Oh, I'm not even going to say that out loud, Chris. I'm not going to do it. What is going on in the Mitten State in the snow up in Michigan? How are you, sir, with your mittens going on up there? Yard's done right. When are you getting back on Facebook? Jim Beveridge, I don't know. For those of you that don't know, I'll tell you a little bit about what happened. I was somehow removed from Facebook. It was during their server change when they had that big wide outage. I was trying to log in then, and it would not let me log in. So fast forward about 3 or 4 days later, I'm trying to log in again, and it puts me through a security prompt that asks me to verify a code that is text to my phone. However, when I try to do that, it says there is no phone number on the account. And so I will go through password recoveries. I'll go through, contact the friends or whatever the case may be. I've exhausted all those options, and it still prompts me to verify my number via a text message and then tells me there's no phone number connected to the account. And I'm stuck in this loop, and I cannot find a way out. And I thought I had it the other day because I had to send my driver's license front and back to Facebook to verify who I was. And they said, we'll have an answer for you in 24 hours. And I had no answer. So I still don't know what's going on with Facebook. Hopefully, if anybody on here works for Facebook, please help me out. That is, I have the whole history of my wife and my kids on there, and I don't want to lose it. Let's see here. Chris Elms, what are you doing, good sir? Gravy Lookout, as far as a cure, just water. Lots and lots of water. Best soil temp to start fertilizing cool season turf. That's actually a really good question, George Popa. When you're above freezing, and I'd say 55 is in your forecast, so I would say probably mid-40s is going to be somewhere in that time frame to start fertilizing. And that's 45 on a warming trend, right? So And when I say on a warming trend is you don't want to apply it just because it's 45 right now, but for the next 2-3 weeks it's going to be 10 degrees outside. You don't want to play it that way. Some professionals have to do it that way just because they're limited in time and availability to be on a property. So I have seen professionals have to do that, and you can do that because nitrogen is stable at those temperatures, but it's best not to do that. If you have the flexibility, if you see you're at 45 and you have the next 10 days ahead of you are 60 degrees during the day and 40 degrees at night, then yes, I would go ahead and get my fertilizer down. So I would say 45 on a warming trend would be a good place to start. Can new centipede sod be sprayed with tenacity? Jay Rich, if you've cut it twice, I would say you're good to go. If you've not cut it twice, I would not. I would check that label. Check the label. It will specifically state on there when it says you can spray sod with it or newly established turf grass. The shed burned down is what happened. No kid was playing on it. It just burned down. Matt Koskinski says, am I safe to mix aerate, dithipir, and iron if I apply it immediately after mixing? Worried about the high pH of aerate. I would not mix aerate and iron plus. And the reason being is that high pH may cause the iron to come out of solution. Ferrous sulfate is going to be soluble in a low pH. So shocking it with a high pH may affect solubility, therefore may bring it out of solution. So I would apply your aerate separately from that mix. Does burning Bermuda affect sheds? Yes, it does. It brings sheds to the ground. Mike, it brings them to the ground. Bermuda is not a weed, of course, and Kentucky bluegrass affects sheds. How about that, AAA Huskers? Ha, 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 ha. What is going on, Gorgonzola? I see you over there. Cool season lawn, low on PK, and my pH is about 5.5. Started the lawn last spring, overseeded in the fall, and going to overseed this spring. Good idea to spoon feed with a 1010 or better idea. Okay, APAP Canarf, this is pretty interesting. I would not worry too much about spoon feeding with a 1010. You can. But with P, actually, I kind of like that idea. Yeah. You can do that. Yeah, so you can get a 1010 or you can get a water-soluble 2020 with micronutrients. Make applications of that. And yeah, you will be good. And of course, the big thing on that is at a pH of 5.5, you're going to want to bring that up a bit. Try to get it to 6. And I'd be curious what your micronutrient levels are. I would say you've got plenty of iron available at that pH. So you should be good to go once you get that all corrected. Carbonex for the homeowner. I'm not going to say exactly when that's going to be available, but I will tell you this. It is getting sooner than later. How about that for a vague generality? I have a Kentucky bluegrass lawn and put down pre-em already, but was interested in that one cupcake. How about it? Okay, yeah, let's talk about it. So, that one cupcake place, for those of you that don't know, is a tremendous business out of Hiawatha, Iowa. And if you've never been to Hiawatha, Iowa, I recommend you go. But even if you haven't, this is what you need to check out. You need to check out thatonecupcakeplace.com. Support this business, and I will tell you why. Because John and his wife are two of the most tremendous people on this planet. They are absolutely stellar. So everybody, order some stuff. You can order it from them. They'll overnight it to you, and you will not find anything better. You can see it recently featured on Jake the Lawn Kid's Livestream. Just saying. Check it out. John Pinkerton and his wife are very active in the community and are great, great people. Show them some love. Let's see here. What's good on white clover in Bermuda? There's lots of herbicides that work on white clover in Bermuda, Altman Lawn Show. So I did the ultimate guide to broadleaf weed control in one video, and there is a whole host of active ingredients in that video that works. Also did the video on Momentum FX2, reading and interpreting labels. That product will work. Anything that contains, if you're in cooler weather right now, you could probably get away with like a 2,4-D ester, depending on how green your Bermuda grass is. Or you could use an amine-based product too. That Ultimate Guide to Broadleaf Herbicide, I want to say that people were getting somewhere between 80 and 90% control with an amine-based 3-way herbicide. So easy put, just a 3-way amine-based phenoxy herbicide, and you will be good to go. I saw a flaming shed open for the local fire department in 1980. Rock and roll. That is funny. Ray is in the house. What's going on, Ray? Man, we are going to be doing another live stream soon. In fact, everybody show Ray some love in the chat, and let's get him back on maybe next week. We'll do another combo here. Concrete sheds for life. Look at that. Now, my real garage is made out of concrete. It wouldn't burn, so. But there's no Bermuda grass on that side, if you know what I'm saying. Hey, man, MOP versus SOP. What are the pros and cons of each? I'm sure they will throw off other values, but need to start maintaining K levels in my very sandy soil. MOP versus SOP. MOP is high pH and a little bit caustic. It's saltier. And SOP has a very low salt index. More neutral on the pH scale. MOP also has chlorine in it, and chlorine is actually used by turfgrass, but it moves through the soil really quickly, so you don't have to really worry a whole lot about that binding up. The only time I've ever had problem with MOP building has been in high potassium fertilizers on centipede when the potassium source came from muriate of potash. Whenever you look at a label and you see MOP, that's muriate of potash, it can also be listed as potassium chloride. If you look at it and you see SOP, that's sulfate of potash, could be listed as potassium sulfate as well. Potassium sulfate, of course, the double one there is that you get potassium and it comes in a sulfated form. So you do get a sulfur kick with your potassium sulfate. And sulfur is also another nutrient used by turfgrass. So depending on your turf type would be where I would direct you either towards MOP or SOP. If you're dealing with centipede, make sure it's SOP. If you're not dealing with centipede, you can get away with some MOP. How often can I apply aerate? I would say probably monthly. You're going to be A-okay. I honestly don't know the answer to that, though, Thomas. I really don't. That's just a kind of throw it out there kind of deal there. I would check with Greene County on that. I woke up one night in the front. Oh man, put it out with your garden hose and your. Wow, that is impressive, dude. Thinking of swapping out aerate for green punch in the biostem pack. Thoughts? Why not? I mean, you definitely can. I mean, that's kind of the beauty of it, is that you have the flexibility to be able to do things like that. Green punch is a good product, so I believe that is the one that's the 1801. It's got some kelp, it's got some humic, and a little bit of iron in it, and some nitrogen. So yeah, pour that baby in the old sprayer and give it a whirl there, Philly Candleman. I think it's a good product to use. If it possible to not use a pre-emergent on a warm season lawn, is it possible? Yes, it is, but you would have to run a post-only program. If you're dealing with like zoysia grass in the most perfect of conditions, you can get away with it without really any ill effect. But all your other turf grasses are going to be a little bit weedy unless you have the right stand of St. Augustine or the right stand of centipede. Bermuda grass, most definitely, yes, you will have to. Yeah, and that's just the reality of it. Can you elaborate on combining herbicides in a tank sprayer in respect to label rates? Bluegrass King, that question's a little bit vague. I do not understand what you're asking. I mean, there's not really a whole lot to elaborate on that, is that you can mix herbicides in a tank. Just make sure you do not exceed the label rate, even though you're combining them. Could you have the potential to drop your rate when you put it into a spray tank? Yes, but that is going to vary, and there's not going to be a lot of statistical data that tells you how much you can drop it. That's going to be one of those things you have to do by experience. And so if you give me something specific, I could probably go a little bit in more detail on it. Lushy, don't start with me. Cut it out. Press F to pay respects for the shit. Looking to overseed my centipede grass, but got a lot of weeds now. Any post-emergent actually using before I do it? Yeah, you could do tenacity. Would be fine. I'm trying to think of something with a short half-life that you could spray on it and then come back right behind it. Probably Speed Zone Southern is going to be okay. And I'd say your reseed interval on Speed Zone Southern is probably going to be like 3 weeks, maybe 2 weeks. You could, yeah, not a lot of options there. If you applied like Celsius or MSM or Simazine or Atrazine, you would have a really long overseed window there before you could put down any of it. So I would probably stick to something like tenacity. When are we doing a live show together again? My fingers got a well-deserved rest last weekend. Ray, let's do it next week. Come on. Oh, look at this. Joe Butler wants, he needs some help. Everybody show Joe Butler his world is falling apart. His daily uploads start tomorrow. He needs support. Somebody show that guy some love. He needs attention. Where is Alan tonight? Yeah, I think he's traveling. Greene County 901 with low volume rate, 64 ounces per thousand. It says use 7-to-1 ratio with water and 14 of ounces of product per thousand. So have you used low application rates with the 901? No, I have not, Josh Kelly. And something with that much of a nutrient load, I would be a little bit hesitant to run low volume at that rate. Let's see, Matt, I sent a weed ID question to your email with pictures. Need some help with correct ID. I will get to looking at that here, Matt Kaczynski. Bear with me, sir. Let's see. We'll keep moving on down here. How soon do I mow after a scalp Bermuda? Mow it when it turns green, and you need to mow it. I mean, it doesn't really matter. I mean, you can mow it the next week if you want. It just depends on if you actually want to cut any grass. But there's no time limit. There's no time limit on having to worry about, oh, I just scalped it, I need to wait 3 weeks or whatever. That is not the case. It's, mow it when you feel it needs to be mowed or you want to mow. Oh, yeah, Matt, I had started looking at this with the purple stem. I wasn't 100% certain, but I believe this is, at first I thought it was Poa trivialis, but I want to say it is oh man, there was a big, long thread on the lawn forum last year about this weed, and I cannot remember what it is off the top of my head. Kaczynski, let me look on the lawn forum after the live show. I froze. Okay. And after the live show, I will be able to, I should be able to find that. I can't remember off the top of my head. And for those of you playing along at home, we'll see if you can see that. Probably not, because I would have to refocus the camera, and I'm a little bit lazy to do that. So there it is. I cannot remember. Let's see. What are the steps to burn your Bermuda in your shed? That's funny, the long form cool season. That is funny. It started with a fire. How about that? Treated Bermuda with Celsius and spiked with a little three-way for Bermuda in North Carolina, seeing little effect on broadleaves and hardly any on fescue. Ran at middle rate in North Carolina. Any suggestions to rid fescue? It's going to be extremely slow this time of year. It likes hot temperatures, so right now I would say give it 4 weeks to watch what's going to happen. Yeah, and if you sprayed it when it was cooler outside, chances are it's probably not going to work. I don't think Celsius is labeled for the removal of fescue. It might be, and if it is, I believe it is labeled at the highest rate. Aaron Donnelly, look at this. Man, I have cool season grass. Let's see here. What do you think about Super Juice? Saw GCI planning to use it. So, what are your thoughts? There's nothing wrong with it. I looked at a label of it, and what is it? The 1424. Now, I guess my only issue with it is that it's a something of that. I believe the rate comes out to like 0.06 pounds of in that 1 acre rate, and at that rate, you're not going to see just a tremendous amount of action. And so I think the way that has to be used is as a weekly or bi-weekly spray, foliar spray. And so being a foliar spray, I would probably choose the appropriate nozzles for it, and I would probably only run that on real low mowed turf. If you're dealing with 2-inch, 3-inch fescue, there's just too much, or even 2-inch, 3-inch grass in general. There's too much leaf area there for that small of amount of a nutrient to give you that much of a push over that much leaf surface area. So real low cut grass, I think it's fine. Outside of that, I just don't think you're going to be getting enough oomph into it. Hey, welcome back, Terry Finch. Let's see here. Iron gets funky with aerate. Yep, it will cause it to come out of solution, I would say. Let's see. Sweep up some ferrous sulfate off the garage floor and toss it onto a white rock area. Terrible idea. Iron standing is no joke. Yeah, I bet it turned all kinds of orange and oxidized all over the place, didn't it? Shout out to John Pinkerton. That's what I'm saying. Whoa, I just saw your question here, Coven, and hang on, it skipped to the bottom. Let me find this here. Hey Matt, can I combine T-Nex and prodiamine? Yes, sir. Absolutely, you can do that. Any suggestions to get rid of POA on newly renovated turf type tall fescue? David Walker, I would look at, if you're talking about POA annua, I would be doing ethofumicate. POA constrictor, it's also known as. Serious question. Actively trying to transplant plugs and even sod pieces from my backyard to the front. What is your suggestion on the immediate steps following transplant and the first 3 weeks? Water, fert it, water it. In no particular order other than water and fert. You don't really, there's nothing in particular you just have to get done there. Get some fertilizer on it to get it going, get it growing. Get it looking for that light, encourage the photosynthesis to take place, and make sure it has the water to make the transition and root into its new environment. Those are the 2 most important things. There's lots of talk about this shed in here. I late just got in for spraying an acre. Woo! What's up, RBL Jackson? Getting it done. I've been battling wild violet in my turf type tall fescue yard. Any tips? Yes. I did a video called The Ultimate Guide to Broadleaf Weed Control where I talked specifically about wild violet, and the best product on the market for wild violet, according to university data, is triclopyr. Triclopyr ester is about as good as it gets. It will require multiple applications with probably a multi-year approach. So 2 applications a year, maybe 2 years, and you should be good to go. You down with MOP? Yeah, you know me. Matt, question about pH when spraying yards. Our water is 7.5. Do I want to balance pH to 6 before or after adding chemicals? Is 6 the right target number? What does this do? RBL Jackson, it depends on the herbicide you're using. If you're using like a phenoxy herbicide or a synthetic auxin, like a 3-way or 2,4-D, something like that of the sort, then yes, you want to bring your pH to a 6 or even lower. And you want to do that before adding your other chemicals. What does this do? It actually slows the breakdown of the material. So I'll give you an example. If you have like a pH of 8 water and you add a 3-way herbicide to it, it will be effective in solution for 4 hours, I think it is, maybe 10 hours, something like that, versus you would get like 2 weeks of stability at a pH of 6. So it's going to extend the life of that herbicide. Now, on the caveat is that if you're dealing with something that ends in sulfuron, like halsulfuron, sulfosulfuron, trifloxysulfuron, formsulfuron, metsulfuron, halosulfuron, iodosulfuron, imazosulfuron, those, like high pHs, they have a longer half-life in a high pH. So you have to know your specific chemistry of your herbicide, mix forth and buffer or drop your pH in relation to what specific active ingredient you're using. There's no general across the board. You can look up herbicide or pesticide pH charts, pesticide stability pH charts, and probably find everything you would want to know. What's up, Brandon Reinschmidt? What herbicides do you stay away from on Bermuda during transition? MSM? Yes. 3-ways with triclopyr? Yes. Those two have mainly been a little bit hard for me. I can give you some off-the-cuff advice of things I've used, but I'd rather do that privately than publicly because that's all anecdotal data. But technically, there's not going to be a whole lot you can put on Bermuda in transition. So what I would be doing is dial up that fertilizer, get that bad boy green, and then hurry back with your herbicide application. Because basically, as simply put, anything you blanket spray to the Bermuda grass right now in terms of a post-emergent will delay green up in some form or fashion. And I've watched it 1,000 times. Some things are worse than others. Triclopyr is going to be really hard on it. And things like metsulfuron are going to be really hard on it. Celsius has been kind of okay for me. But it's weird. It's like it'll come out yellow and then you'll get your flush of green from it. So not really a lot of options for you. A 3-way amine is probably a little bit gentle. So, maybe running that with something like with an MSO, potentially there should be okay. Let's see here. Let me skip on down this for a little bit. Would there visible or measurable benefits from running 6 to 9 ounce rates on the next biostim pack versus 3 ounce minimum rate? I can make one kit work, but thought about running more. I would say yes, Troy Scherer. I would definitely say yes. And to be honest, I don't know what's in the biostim pack. But when you're talking about tripling the amount of material you're putting down, even though it may be a relatively low rate, but when you're tripling it, yes, you should see a distinct difference. That's funny, real low. What can I use to kill fescue patches in my Bermuda lawn during the growing season? So you want to use Tribute Total or Revolver or Certainty or Monument or Katana. No, not Katana. Yeah, that's pretty much going to run that gamut. So formsulfuron, trifloxysulfuron, sulfosulfuron all should have pretty good activity on it. Let's see. Tall fescue in T-zone been getting hammered by POA. Been hand pulling every other day but keeps coming in. Used Prodiamine 5 weeks ago and tenacity went down yesterday. This fall preem, the answer? It all depends on case by case. I mean, there's not... It could be, but are you going to have to reseed? You're in the transition zone, so I'm going to argue, yes, you definitely have to reseed. What are you doing, Lushy? What are you doing? I see you over there. So, in my opinion, I would make sure your fescue is as thick as possible because usually first year after a renovation, typically I deal with POA. Second year after establishment, I'm not dealing with POA anymore because I've got that fescue really thick. And I still have to overseed those. So when you're talking about having to overseed and you get that done in September and you're not getting down your preem until October or November, at that point it's too late. Like you're already going to have a pretty extreme flush of POA in the yard by that point. You won't see it until now, this time of year, not until March of the next year, but it will be there in the grass. But it'll start seeding the next year, and that's when you'll really be able to see it. So it may be the answer. I don't know. It is going to vary so much case by case and depends on your tolerance level of POA. Let's see here. The LCN is always fashionably late. I love it. I love it. I just put down prodiamine on my Kentucky bluegrass lawn, 65 WDG at 0.25 ounces per 1,000 square feet to do a split out. I'm curious. There's a risk of... No. Where's Matt reading from? I've got this monitor that shows me my camera, and I've got like a future screenshot of the chat, and then over here on this side, I'm reading the chat. I hope that helps. Maybe this is what video is like at room temperature. Matt, your thoughts on running 6 ounces of Dismiss round 3 Memphis? Will it ding the lawns? Woo! Round 3 in Memphis. Melvin Gunner, what's up, Big Daddy? 6 ounces of Dismiss. It will ding it, yes. I mean, there's no doubt about it. It'll ding it. How long will it last? Not long. I mean, you're going to be starting to hit some real good push on out temperature there. So you're round 3, man, I would throw some fert down and spray all you want of that 6 ounces of Dismiss, and I would say you would be good to go, sir. Johnny Fescue, what makes ferrous sulfate seem to eat my diaphragm pumps and make spray guns leak? It's very abrasive and acidic. So that's exactly why. It is a metal. It's a salt of a metal that is gone into solution, and that heavy pumping action against it a lot of times actually can slightly pull it out of solution as it's passing through the pump, and it just creates this abrasive nightmare that is really hard on pumps. I used T-Nex on Centipede and it was awesome. Yes, I can say I've done that before too. I've used a lot of T-Nex on Centipede and it does great. Haven't been able to treat yet. We just got 1 inch of unexpected snow. Oh man, I hate that for you, Nick. What is your favorite cool season grass and why? Perennial ryegrass when it's overseeded into dormant Bermuda grass. It's a trick question. How about that? Sure Power works on wild violets. I always forget about Sure Power. I always forget about it. Yes, Sure Power does work on wild violets. It has flumioxazin? No. I cannot remember that active in Sure Power. That is the kicker. But it's another PPOI. It's in the same family as Dismiss. It gives you a real strong burn down. Plus, I think they have a little bit of triclopyr or fluroxypyr in it to give it that systemic nya. Look at this. Can your new shed be the biggest of all in the Discords? All right. Oh, it skipped down to the bottom. Let me get back here. Do you think I'm too late to spray a Bermuda lawn with 16 ounces to the acre of Glide to remove the fescue? Oh, it's JW. What are you doing, JW? It's one of the things you're going to delay green up by doing that by, say, 4 weeks. And that's as a general rule of thumb with 16 ounces to the acre. So if you think about it, if you're going to be okay with not being green until April 31st, then I would say yes, you will be okay. And, in reality, you could still be 50% green in 2 weeks. And gauging by where my backyard is right now, Josh, like, man, I could totally spray it with Glide right now and have no issue whatsoever. The only thing is that I'm not 100% certain that 16 ounces to the acre will remove fescue. I don't know, though. Ray, you may have to chime in on that. Do you think 16 ounces to the acre of Glide will work on removing tall fescue out of Bermuda grass? What's up, JW? Let's see. Going to be seeding 100% per. Matt, any experience knocking wild violet out of turf-type tall fescue? Christopher Thornton, I did a video a couple of weeks ago called The Ultimate Guide to Broadleaf Weed Control. And one of the studies we looked at from a data perspective was removal of wild violets. And the best product on the market for that currently is triclopyr ester. The purple weed is barnyard grass. That is not barnyard grass. I'm in Illinois, 40 to 60 degree highs right now. Can I throw down some grass seed as I have a lot of bare spots in the backyard from winter? Yeah, I mean, you can. Yeah, absolutely. What's the deal with Super Thrive? Super Thrive is one of the all-time great marketing things in the entire world. Super Thrive is a mix of B vitamins, and I believe it also has some IBA rooting hormone in it. I have used so much Super Thrive over the years, it's almost embarrassing to admit, but I liked it. I just liked Super Thrive. I always used it in transplants and always had good luck using it with plants. So I'm just saying, I really like Super Thrive. I think it's a good product. It's really expensive to try and integrate it into turf. I felt like you needed to apply it at higher rates than you did with landscape ornamentals. But it's overall it's a good product. Let's see, barnyard grass. No, the purple weed was not barnyard grass. It was, I want to say it was some kind of wire stem. Like a wire stem muhly or something of the sort. I cannot remember. I may be. No, that's a warm season weed. Maybe that was it. I don't know. I will post this link in the chat, and you can compare this. Matt Kosinski, if you're still there, and tell me what you think. Let's see. 100% perennial ryegrass. Tomorrow going to use tenacity, but label states some sensitivity with ryegrass. If I stay at 4 ounces per acre, will my seeding not be effective? I don't know. It depends on your cultivar that you have. So it's not going to be easy to give you a yes or no answer to that. Label states some sensitivity with ryegrass. So just because you spray it at 4 ounces doesn't mean your ryegrass isn't going to be sensitive to it. It all depends on the very specific type of tenacity you have. Orban, what's up, sir? How are you, good sir? Now first, how to kill ryegrass or wait to die, Bermuda grass. I would definitely get rid of it. Metsulfuron methyl works really well on ryegrass. You could also use negate. Pay attention to the mixing instructions on negate. You have to mix the entire contents of the product of the bottle. Or you could go the more expensive route and do something like Tribute Total or Revolver or Monument or Katana. All of those would work. Matt, at the Fumicate, Dismiss, and Tenacity did a good job on my POA infestation. Good stuff. I think it showed me where my fine fescue is. Also, going to try the Etho by itself this fall when I oversee. Very good. There's a positive report from Metafumicate on POA annua. Going to grow some test grass in containers. Any suggestions with soil to use? Use native soil. Go get some out of your yard and use it there. Don't use a potting soil because that will alter. Go. I tell you what to do is go test soil from your front yard, then go get potting soil and test it. You're going to be looking at something that has organic matter around like 2% versus something that has organic matter around 30%. It will skew your results. Don't use it. Getting rid of wild onion. I saw John Perry talk about dousing it with humates to help kill them. Any other good control? I would use a phenoxy herbicide, preferably an ester-based one, like a 2,4-D ester or a 3-way ester. Those work great if you're on warm season grass, but you're in Philly. You're not dealing with warm season grass, so you're a little bit limited in what you can go out with. But I would use a 3-way phenoxy ester-based herbicide. Can the wood be turned into biochar? Oh man! Is it? Look at it. Are you? Is activity loss of ethofumicate in dry soil by chemical degradation and adsorption a thing? It will always be a thing, but I don't think it's going to be so much loss of ethifumicate in dry soil or even chemical degradation. I think it's just going to be the fact that you're going to have a slower growth response. Oh, I guess you're talking about in terms of pre-emergent longevity from it. Yeah, it would be all of the above. It would be chemical loss. I would say adsorption. Why are you asking such a difficult question, Chris? I don't know the exact way ethifumicate breaks down. I don't know if it's photochemical, so I don't know if it would be light or just reaction in dry soil. But if you're seeing like early breakthrough in it and you're coming through winter, I don't know if that would have the effect that would cause that. I honestly don't know I don't know the answer to that, Chris. I don't know. But you got my number. We can talk about this. We can have a good long conversation about it. Matt, will you be at the GIE this year? Yes, absolutely. I did 9 ounces of Biostim by accident. Look good. There you go. Any problem blanket spraying my zoysia with certainty and half green up? Should I use NIS? Full 1.25 ounces per acre. Certainty at half green up. Man, in my opinion, it's not worth it. I would wait. Look, Bray jumped in there. Your sedge is probably not completely emerged yet. Yep, that's good. That's a good point, too. I thought you had to reseed fescue no matter where you are at. Yeah, man, you pretty much do. You pretty much do. Pulling crabgrass with a weed puller plugger, best way of getting rid of it? No, that is not. Well, you've got centipede, don't you? No, you've got Bermuda grass. 1776, man. I think you got a bit of both. There are better ways to do that. A lot better ways. And we can talk about it as we get closer to that time. Jungle rice! Yes! Jungle rice. That is it. Matt Kaczynski. Jungle rice. That is exactly it. That's the one I was thinking of. Good call. Jungle rice. Thank you, The Lawn Forum. Cool season. You are the man. When lowering pH in solution, does the type of acid used matter? I have an abundance of muriatic acid as a pool owner, and it would only take an eyedropper full to drop the pH in my 15-gram spray tank. I think you could, but I don't know the answer to that. I'm not a chemist, and I would not feel comfortable doing that just because I don't have any experience using muriatic acid. I've never even seen muriatic acid. But I would say yes, you could, but I don't know the exact chemical makeup of that. And yeah, I don't know. I do not know. Let's see. See the Tennessee hat. Are you from Tennessee? Yes, I'm from Memphis. Born and raised in Memphis, and I live in Knoxville, Tennessee. 32 ounces. Better to get it with an SU. Do you hear that, Josh? J-Dub, we're looking at 32 ounces to the acre to get fescue. You're cool with delaying green up. Then, yeah, you could do it with 32 ounces to the acre. There is a chart by NC State. Hang on one second here, Josh. NC State, glyphosate, partially green, Bermuda. And there is a chart on it that shows how it was effective during green up. And I believe 32 ounces to the acre was one of the rates they used in it. I'm going to throw this in the chat for you, J-Dub, and you can take a look at it there. Is there a selective herbicide for quackgrass? No. Roundup is the only thing you can use on quackgrass. Let's see. Hey, I just found out my dog totally loves Doritos. There's no surprise there. Matt has a filter. I do not. What kind of seed can I use mixed with centipede? Just want the best seeding results. Some took last year, but think a mix would be better results with my centipede. Are you talking about different grass types with your centipede? I'll tell you this. I may be the wrong person to ask. What's up, Jake the Long Kid? What's up, OSU Turf Man? I would say that I personally want a monoculture stand of turf grass, Keith Curry. So I would not mix a lot of different turf varieties to go into centipede. There's not enough cultivars of centipede for you to be able to have options by seed to just start mixing in different cultivars of centipede. So I think you're talking about mixing in different species of turf grasses. Matt, can I mix 3-way with my pre-emergent for my second round on Bermuda? Heard some guys saying you can damage Bermuda in transition if you use 2,4-D. You can if you use ester-based 2,4-D. If you're using amine 2,4-D, it's not going to be as much of an issue. Yes, you can mix 3-way with your pre-emergent for your second round on your Bermuda. Silverback, what's that? The bat is out there getting it, boy. Is there any reason to not spray out ryegrass in Bermuda? The minor league baseball team here mows it low and burns it out with urea. Brandon, I have seen it done that way, and I've seen it fail that way. So, when I first took on that football field here locally, that was what they did. They were mowing it at a 1/2 inch or 0.4, and were making weekly applications of urea, and it was not burning it out. It all depends on the species of ryegrass that is used. If you know the exact species or exact cultivar of ryegrass in that Bermuda and know it cannot tolerate that low mow and urea, then yeah, you could get away with doing it. But that is going to vary from cultivar to cultivar. That is not a blanket across the board deal. I would always spray out the ryegrass in Bermuda because I watched how that ryegrass affected that Bermuda grass field. It would stress the perennial ryegrass just enough that I felt like allolepathy was taking place, and it was causing the Bermuda grass to thin out and thin out and thin out with each application. And then it would rain, and then the ryegrass would green back up. It was the craziest thing I've ever seen, but I would definitely spray it out. Let's see. Thanks for the reassurance on your crossbow app. Hey, man, good. I'm glad it is going good there. Shout out to Paul Castleberry for good customer service. Paul Castleberry is the man. Tennessee's all right. Followed your advice on the Glide 32 ounces rate. Worked like a charm. Hey! I told all my clients last fall that I got to put down pre-emergence. So far, I got no phone calls. I don't know if that's good. I'm not exactly sure. Let's see. It was Memphis born and raised out on the lawn where... okay, here we go. We got a song coming in. Lushy, quiet. Do you sweat as much when the fire department shows up? I was sweating when the fire department showed up. We see in the ag world seed coated with fungicides, and their seed will sit out in the soil for up to 30 days without water. Is it just because it would jump the price only? Yes. It's mainly just a cost thing. So if you think about it, Josh, and it's not even all seed that's going to be coated with fungicide, but you got to remember, ag label fungicide is going to be a hell of a lot cheaper than turf label fungicide. So that's one thing. Second is you have to think of, a lot of times their crop is insured, so you can get insurance on your ag crop. And part of your insurance stipulation may be that if you're, to pay a certain rate on your insurance on your crop for that season, they may require you to use a fungicide-coated seed to have a higher chance of guarantee of success. So there's a lot of factors that go into that, but yeah, you see it in the ag world because I would say it's probably utilized a lot more like there because it's affordable in the ag world to do that. And it may be a requirement in some instances too. And the fact that it sits out there for 30 days without water isn't a big deal. It's going to be stable there. Because it hasn't been watered, it's not like it's really got a whole lot going on that it's going to degrade. It's when it reacts with water is when that action is going to start to take place. Matt, what's the best product to kill wild garlic, wild onion? It's everywhere, side and backyards. What kind of grass type do you have? If you have warm season grass like Bermuda grass, I would spray. Oh man, look at the way that camera froze. If you have warm season grass, I would recommend Certainty. Sulfosulfuron does well on it. You could do methylsulfuron methyl does well on it. And you could combine methylsulfuron methyl with a 3-way herbicide. You'll be good to go. Or if you're in cool season grass, use an ester-based three-way herbicide. You'll be good to go there too. I have some starter fert with mesotrione I used last year, and I sealed up the bag real well. But do you think there could be some loss of efficacy in the herbicide? Probably none that you would notice, Riley Tree and Landscaping. Probably none that you would notice. Hey, you're more than welcome, but that was all on Pinkerton. Pinkerton is the man. Let's see here. I know it froze. I know. They're gonna blame me for weeds that could have been prevented. Oh, I see what you're saying, Gav. Yeah, man. I mean, that's one of those things where it will make it very difficult. It will make it very difficult because you will get lots of calls about the weeds, and you'll say, "Well, you missed your pre-emergent." That's a good question. 888 Huskers had cupcake on both hands, couldn't type. All right, everybody, we are at 10:04. I believe that's going to bring us down to the end of the show. I appreciate everybody tuning in. I had a ton of fun with you tonight, as always. Thank you for tuning in, as always. I look forward to next week. Next week, Ray, what do you say? You want to do another show next week? Let's do it. Let's get Ray on here. Let's keep these bad boys cranking out, pumping out. So, got some videos in the works right now. Obviously, I'm getting started on my backyard. I'm way late. I should have at least gotten down pre-emergent right now. I have not. So, we're going to do some fun stuff with my backyard this week. We've got episode number 2 with Let's Have a Talk About Herbicides. And we're going to be talking about, I'm not sure which herbicide right now, but after I make a tour of my garage, I will determine which one is the one I want to use. We'll do like a little, ultimate guide to using that specific herbicide. And I think it will help people, hopefully. So, everybody, thank you for tuning in. I sure do appreciate it. Everybody go show some love to thatonecupcakeplace.com. My buddy Jay Pink and his wife Teresa are some of the greatest people on earth. Go show them some love. I'm going to throw a link over there in the chat. Order something. Tell them I said hey. Tell them I said love them. Matthew Sandoval, didn't see you type all night. I'm glad to see you there. Josh Miller. All right, everybody. I'm headed to the Discord. For those of you that have never been to the Discord, I recommend you go. Let's see. The Lawn Forum Discord.com. I forgot what the link is to it. Somebody, what is the link to the lawn to the Discord? J Pink did the short link to it, and I can't remember what it is. So if you want to come hang out, come meet us over there. I'll try and find it real quick on the lawnforum.com because that seems to be where the easiest place to find it would be. But I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to find it in time, but I'm trying just as fast as I can. So I'm going to stretch this out as much as possible until I get there, because I know here shortly I will be able to find it at some point, and I'm just going to keep going until I get there. Oh, I found a chat where I'd been watching, and here it is. I'm going to copy this link address and then throw it into the chat right here. Woo! Spam it. TheLawnDiscord.com. Or you can go to TheLawnDiscord.com. All right, everybody. Thank you for tuning in. I sure do appreciate you. I love y'all.